It's considered more than a fleeting trend. It's a pervasive issue. As digital screens increasingly shape our existence, our ability to concentrate is diminishing, memories are becoming less reliable, and overall mental wellness is on a downturn. Could the constant scrolling and viral content be fundamentally altering our brains in irreversible ways? And is there a way to address this before it's too late? This is a look at how to counteract brain rot. Ohio, not referring to the U.S. state, is a term you'd understand if you're around 12 years old. For others, it's slang used by Generation Alpha, born 2010 to 2024, to label something as peculiar, unconventional, or unexpected. Phrases like "only in Ohio," "you're so Ohio," or "shitty Ohio rules" are examples. Riz is its opposite, and liberty is open to interpretation. Following Ohio became the second most searched meme on Google in 2023. This new lexicon from Gen Alpha is amusing and potentially baffling depending on one's age. But does it signal a more significant, possibly troubling trend? Brain rot has moved beyond popular jargon and has recently been connected to a significant mental phenomenon. Researchers at Boston Children's Hospital term this problematic interactive media use, or PMU. Dr. Michael Rich, a pediatrician and the founder of the hospital's digital wellness lab, states that the term encapsulates the impact of excessive online engagement. Individuals experiencing brain rot tend to view their daily life through the filter of online content, which in turn shapes their communication and actions. Problematic media use can manifest as compulsive or excessive engagement with digital and interactive media, to the extent that it disrupts a young person's daily life. This often correlates with diminished academic results, heightened family discord, lower satisfaction in relationships, and difficulties with emotional stability. With nearly 80% of teenagers having access to smartphones or home computers, and almost half claiming to be online almost constantly, this type of excessive media consumption is not just a theory. Real life now coexists with online life. Of course, digital technology isn't without its merits. It facilitates connections with new people and exposure to novel ideas. It provides a platform for self-expression that might be unavailable offline. Do these advantages offset the downsides of overuse? Is brain rot truly as severe as many adults believe? Is Generation Alpha simply a reflection of its surroundings? Perhaps the concept of brain rot is merely a generation's way of processing its formative years spent amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Regardless, the type of content contributing to brain rot adversely affects our minds. Can this be remedied? Or is it a new aspect of reality we must learn to live with? Lately, when contemplating brain rot, a particular painting comes to mind. It's The 2,000-Yard Stare, a World War II artwork showing a soldier with a desolate, unfocused expression. This image visually conveys emotional detachment following the trauma of war. But how does this relate to brain rot? TikTok users have noted a curious resemblance between this gaze and the vacant expression often seen during doom scrolling through negative news feeds. While not a perfect comparison, it becomes more understandable when considering the sheer volume of overwhelming content delivered directly to Gen Z and Gen Alpha. These are historically the most anxious generations. And while content associated with brain rot might seem like a diversion, it frequently exacerbates anxiety. Addressing something like brain rot ultimately comes down to making meaningful lifestyle changes and healthier choices for our minds. But what's the starting point? Brain rot isn't an ill-defined idea. According to research from the YPulse Group, 65% of children aged 8 to 12 own an iPhone, and the same percentage possess an iPad. In contrast, millennials typically received their first smartphones around age 16. This fact alone doesn't confirm that young minds are deteriorating, but the influence of technology on youth can be a cause for concern. An estimated 1.5 to 2.1 million adolescents in the U.S. have reportedly experienced some form of disordered technology use with adverse effects. This can appear in several forms: gaming addiction, requiring children to be forcibly separated from consoles; problematic social media engagement, where these platforms become the main communication channel for young people; problematic internet use, involving hours of information seeking at the expense of other activities; or an excessive reliance on the internet and technology, which stifles independent thought and problem-solving skills. So, how might brain rot impact us, our siblings, or the world's children? It's hardly surprising that the continuous multitasking and rapid information processing demanded when using social media or other phone-based tasks have resulted in shorter attention spans. This idea is termed the attention deficit disorder economy, suggesting that modern digital culture, with its incessant notifications, advertisements, and content, disrupts deep, focused thinking. Technology is actively reshaping our brain's capacity to concentrate and hold on to information. While technology can boost certain cognitive abilities, it also presents disadvantages. It diminishes our ability to focus on activities that aren't as mindlessly engaging as scrolling through TikTok. If an increasing number of us find it hard to concentrate, we might not need to resort to medication. In 2022, the CDC reported that 7 million U.S. children, 11.4% of those aged 3 to 17, had an ADHD diagnosis. This is 1 million more diagnoses than in 2016. The pandemic was certainly a contributing factor, and there has likely been an increase in diagnoses due to better symptom recognition in girls. Nevertheless, it's a significant increase. Certain medications, particularly those affecting neurotransmitters, like ADHD medication, can have cognitive impairment as a side effect. Alternatively, newly diminished attention spans, fueled by the internet's endless stimuli, correlate with widespread dopamine depletion, fostering technology addiction. Chronic exposure to highly stimulating tech activities can disrupt dopamine regulation, which, over time, may dull the brain's pleasure response and negatively affect attention and motivation. We have endless entertainment and information readily available, yet global depression rates have been rising for 3 decades. The World Happiness Report indicates that people in affluent nations have become less happy. We seem unable to be alone with our thoughts anymore. We lack the quiet time to process our personal struggles because something is always vying for our attention. Overexposure to screens, flashing ads, and rapid information flow can lead to mental exhaustion and reduced cognitive performance, similar to the effects of brain rot. Information is reaching us faster than our brains can effectively process it. Mental fatigue, decision-making paralysis, and difficulty concentrating are the unavoidable consequences of endless scrolling, posting updates, and constant notifications. We are bombarding ourselves with far more information than we are physically or mentally equipped to handle. All this excess leads to either information overload or offloading. We either take it all on and stress ourselves out, or we offload it to avoid dealing with it. When we choose to offload information, we diminish our capacity to effectively build our memory skills. Digital dementia. In the long run, this can cultivate chronic forgetfulness. Memory is like a muscle. Use it or lose it. Cognitive offloading, the act of relying on devices to store information rather than using our own memory, can fundamentally alter how we process information. With this dependence on technology, there's concern that the brain may delegate functions traditionally managed by memory and problem-solving faculties. Over time, these other functions may become less robust. Our Notes app is handy for tracking ideas and grocery lists, But doesn't that mean we're not committing that information to our brains? We use calendars for reminders, not trusting ourselves to remember a lunch meeting next Tuesday. Do we also need calendar alerts for a walk? Some of us are guilty of this. Technology offers many helpful tools, but have we become excessively dependent on them? And more children, constantly on their phones, may never learn to use their memory effectively because these tools are always available. The consequences could be serious. Everyone benefits from neuroplasticity, the brain's lifelong ability to reorganize by forming new neural connections in response to experiences. This adaptive capacity allows us to recover from injuries and compensate for disabilities. Technology is conditioning our sensory inputs and thought patterns, ultimately affecting our brain's structure. While new information and diverse perspectives encountered online can be beneficial for expanding our worldview and aiding neuroplasticity, these benefits are often negated by the act of being on a phone or computer itself, which consistently diminishes long-term attention and deep focus. The digital world inhabited by so many children is, by design, weakening face-to-face social skills. They invest so much time adapting to their digital surroundings that it curtails their full brain engagement with the tangible physical world. Overall, brain rot is a reliable path to internet-induced anxiety and depression. Social media and internet use can contribute to declines in mental health, especially among younger demographics. The repetitive cycles of social comparison, information overload, and cyberbullying foster anxiety and depression, which can, in turn, impair cognitive functions such as memory, processing speed, and attention. The National Institute of Health identified a significant link between internet addiction and depression, anxiety, and stress in a study of teenagers classified as internet addicted. What does that entail? The study defined it as using the internet for 3 to 6 hours daily, which implies many of us might qualify. Much like with our dopamine-driven reward system, the cycles of depression and internet addiction are challenging to break. Individuals seek distractions from, or alternatives to, lives that make them feel down. But online, they encounter a deluge of information that can potentially deepen their depression. So how can we, and more crucially, the still impressionable Gen Alpha, tackle brain rot and its associated side effects? As always, a digital detox is an option involving regular breaks from screens, particularly social media, and other highly stimulating content. Committing to just a few structured screen-free hours daily can significantly help reset attention spans and reduce sensory overload. Similarly, we've all been engrossed in emails or writing and felt the distracting pull of our phones. Scheduling dedicated deep work periods, uninterrupted time for focused work or reading, can help retrain the brain to concentrate on a single task for longer durations. One of the most effective ways for everyone to combat brain rot is to step away from scrolling and practice mindfulness, meditation, or even take a walk in nature. Regular meditation strengthens attention and alleviates mental overload. Just 10 to 20 minutes a day can help reverse some effects of technology overload, and reconnecting with nature has been shown to restore cognitive function and improve mood. At a minimum, try to spend 30 minutes outdoors daily. Next time you're about to mindlessly scroll on the couch, consider a stroll or sitting in a park instead. The most vital thing in our effort to overcome brain rot is to limit doom scrolling and passive content consumption. Engaging with content in shorter, purposeful bursts rather than endless scrolling can lessen anxiety. This also encourages more face-to-face interactions with friends, family, and colleagues, which stimulates our brains differently than screens. Participating in intellectually engaging conversations can counteract the effects of the superficial online content that often draws us in. Here's the critical question, though. Should we genuinely be this concerned? Are adults overreacting while children are the ones who truly grasp this technological landscape? Young people think about technology's impact on their lives. Teens and children experienced their formative years during the COVID-19 pandemic, their routines disrupted. They sought distraction and a way to normalize an abnormal new reality. Consequently, they often have a sense of humor about maturing in turbulent times, and their concerns are more layered, not as bleak as some older individuals might perceive. Adults often view technology in black and white, whereas kids see it more as a spectrum and may be better equipped to find healthy moderation. The same Y-Pulse study mentioned earlier also found that 75% of 8 to 12-year-olds are passionate about causes like animal rights and cyberbullying. Furthermore, 84% feel optimistic about the future. So perhaps the notion of brain rot isn't as dire as it's made out to be. Young people are natives of a digital world to which the rest of us have had to adapt. Maybe we should acknowledge that every generation tends to surprise the one before it. And Jonathan is well aware of that, primarily because they looked it up online.